Let's see. I'm Matt Miller, Chairman of the Mississippi Board of Education. I am presently in Sims, Alabama. This meeting of the Board of Education is being held today, Friday, November 14th, 2025 at 10:30 a.m. via teleconference pursuant to Mississippi Code Annotated 25415. Notice of this meeting was posted in accordance with state law and included the date, time, and place and purpose of the meeting, identified the location of the meeting available to the public. An audio recording of the meeting is being made and minutes are being taken as well. Dr. Evans, where are you presently?
I am in Verona, Mississippi.
Okay. As I call out each board member's name, if you will give us your location, please, starting with Dr. Barrett.
Biloxi, Mississippi.
Mr. East.
Gulfport, Mississippi.
Mr. Mayo.
Oxford, Mississippi.
Dr. McGehee.
Madison, Mississippi.
Mr. Pruitt.
D'Iberville, Mississippi.
Ms. Werner.
Saltillo, Mississippi.
And Ms. Stroud.
New Albany, Mississippi.
Okay. Thanks everybody for joining. I think not only do we have a
You
quorum, I
need
think
me?
we have everybody.
Need me? I'm in Charleston, South Carolina.
I'm sorry, Bill. I skipped your name on my list. I'm trying to read off my phone, so I apologize.
Okay.
So we have a quorum of the board is present at the location stated for the purpose of conducting a meeting through teleconference means. The November 14th, 2025 special call board meeting is now called to order at 10:34 a.m. Since this is a teleconference meeting, please identify yourself when making comments or asking questions or making motions. At this point, this is a special called meeting that thus only the business that can be transacted is that which is specified in the call of the meeting. So do I have a motion to approve our agenda?
So moved.
Mary Werner, so moved. I'll second it, Mary Werner.
Okay, that was, I believe, is Mr. McGehee on the
Correct.
Motion, Ms. Werner on the second. All in favor, say aye or raise your
Aye.
hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. So, Aaron, I'm trying to read this off my phone, so I apologize. We're not going in excessive session yet, right?
I think that's
Correct.
my turn, I think, isn't it?
No, not yet.
Okay,
So we're up
go
to
ahead.
the first item, which is consideration and determination by the board that the Okolona Separate School District is impaired with a serious lack of financial resources, which warrants their placement into a district of transformation. Ms. Wiggins and Dr. Vanderford, whichever you want the floor, take it.
Good morning, Chairman Miller, Dr. Evans, and board members. I'm Joanne Malone, and I will be presenting to you this morning on behalf of Dr. Paula Vanderford, as she is with us by teleconference, but she's on the road. As I begin this presentation, I'd like to first clarify that you may hear or see us referring to the Okolona Municipal Separate School District as the Okolona Separate School District. A review of the Secretary of State's website indicates the references are used interchangeably, so we may be referring to the district in either of these manners, or we may refer to them simply as the district. On October the 30th, 2025, Ms. Brooke Seals, Mississippi Department of Education's Director of School Financial Services, received an email from the Okolona Separate School District's business manager informing the Mississippi Department of Education the district was unable to meet the November 2025 payroll obligations for district employees and requested the need for financial assistance from the School District Assistance Fund. Upon receipt, Ms. Kim Wiggins, Chief Operations Officer, notified Dr. Evans, State Superintendent, of the request. Ms. Wiggins and Ms. Seals began communications with district staff to determine the financial status of the district. On Thursday, November 6th, Dr. Paula Vanderford, Ms. Wiggins, and additional MDE staff met with the Okolona Separate School District Superintendent, Dr. Paul Moten, and staff to discuss the request for assistance. During the November 6th meeting, the Office of School Financial Services requested that the district provide the MDE with numerous documents and reports no later than Monday, November the 10th. Later in this presentation, Ms. Wiggins will provide a report to the board regarding the need for consideration and determination by the State Board of Education whether the district is impaired with serious lack of financial resources that warrants the district's placement into District of Transformation in accordance with Mississippi Code annotated 37-17-6-12B3. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to advance the slides. Some of the demographics of the school district are projected on the screen. As you can see, the district has maintained a B accountability rating for the past 3 years. The individual school ratings are projected on the screen. As for enrollment, records indicate a total of 517 students are enrolled in the district. The enrollment has seen a steady decline over the past 7 years as projected on the screen. Additionally, according to the record submitted to MDE, the average class size in the district is 12 students. At the elementary school, it's 23, middle school is 11, and high school is 9. All findings are based on the analysis data, including but not limited to the district's current accreditation record summary, specifically process standards 4 and 5, interviews conducted with district staff, analysis of the requested documentation provided by the district on Monday, November the 10th, and analysis of documentation submitted by the district's business manager, as well as FETS and MSIS data. As a reminder, during the 2024 legislative session, the statute changed, and under Mississippi Code 37-17-6-12B3, the State Board of Education has the authority to place a school district into a district of transformation for financial reasons if the State Board of Education determines that the school district is impaired with a serious lack of financial resources. Additionally, the State Board of Education shall require the district to reimburse the state for any cost incurred by the state on behalf of the school district. Under the new statutory framework, only the State Board of Education is required to make the determination, and the governor need not declare a state of emergency for the board to place a district into a district of transformation for financial reasons. The rationale projected on the screen for the determination that the district is impaired with a lack of serious financial resources is based on the following: ongoing insolvency, failure to make payroll, a pattern of fiscal mismanagement resulting in the absence of sufficient funds to maintain minimum operations and support interventions, failure to maintain adequate internal controls, and failure to comply with process standards 4 and 5 of Mississippi Public School Accountability Standards 2025. In 2010, the State Board of Education determined that there was sufficient cause to believe that an extreme emergency situation existed in the Okolona district, brought on by serious findings regarding financial resources, serious violations of accreditation standards, and a continued pattern of poor performance, which jeopardized the safety, security, and educational interest of the children enrolled in the schools of this district. Subsequently, the governor declared a state of an emergency, and the district was placed under conservatorship on February 24, 2010. The State Board of Education returned the district to local control in 2012. At this time, I'll turn the rest of the presentation over to Ms. Kim Wiggins.
Thank you. Good morning, members of the board. I'm Dr. Evans. As stated by Dr. Malone, on October 30th, 2025, the district notified the Mississippi Department of Education's Office of School Financial Services via email to Brooke Seals, director, that the district will be unable to make its November 2025 obligation of approximately $518,000 and requested assistance through the School District Emergency Assistance Fund in accordance with Mississippi Code Section 37-17-6-12 subsection 12B 3. The inability to pay lawful financial obligations constitutes a severe financial situation requiring immediate State Board of Education consideration. A preliminary review conducted by MDE staff revealed the following critical deficiencies, which I will share with you during this presentation. The district's financial documentation, however, is complete and inconsistent. Therefore, the MDE cannot verify all outstanding and recurring expenditures. The verified expenditures, particularly payroll, already exceed the district's monthly revenue, indicating ongoing insolvency in accordance with Mississippi Code Section 37-17-6, subsection 3, and the Mississippi Public School Accountability Standards 2025, specifically Process Standard 5.1, Budget and Financial Reporting. Many district funds currently reflect negative balances. Most importantly, the district maintenance fund, which as of today shows a $195,000 deficit, which demonstrates the absence of sufficient cash to maintain minimum operations and any other supporting interventions needed. The documentation provided by the district fails to allow MDE to verify all outstanding financial liabilities, preventing confirmation of obligations to employees, vendors, and/or state and federal programs in violation of Process Standards 4.1 through 4.7 of the Mississippi Public School Accountability Standards. The district's financial documentation is incomplete, incorrect, and inconsistent with accepted school business practices, contrary to the requirements outlined in Mississippi Code Section 37-17-6, subsection 3, and Process Standard 4.2, Fixed Asset Accounting, and Process Standard 5.2, Financial Record Submission of the Mississippi Public School Accountability Standards. The district has failed to complete an independent annual audit since FY21, leaving multiple years unaudited in violation of Process Standard 4.0, Annual Financial Audit, and the Mississippi Public School Accountability Standards. The district's deteriorated condition has eliminated access to other short-term borrowing options, further supporting the need for immediate intervention in accordance with Mississippi Code Sections 37-17-6 and 37-17-13. MDE cannot at this time confirm whether federal programs, ESEA, IDEA, Child Nutrition, Perkins, etc., are managed in compliance with rules creating significant audit exposure, inconsistent with Process Standard 4.3 Audit Trail for federal funds of the Mississippi Public School Accountability Standards. The failure to maintain adequate internal controls creates a significant risk that employees, contract service providers, and federally funded staff may go unpaid, and basic operations may not be sustained, which is contrary to Process Standard 2.5, School Business Officer Responsibility, and Process Standard 5.1, Budget and Financial Reporting of the Mississippi Public School Accountability Standards. The district's inability to verify liability raises concerns of unrecorded obligations, possible deficit spending, and material weaknesses severe enough to jeopardize student services and safety in accordance with Mississippi Code Section 37-17-13 and Process Standard 5.2, Budget and Financial Reporting of the Mississippi Public School Accountability Standards. If the State Board of Education does not act immediately, staff may not receive November payroll, resulting in immediate work stoppage and disruption to school student services. The district cannot ensure compliance with federal program requirements, potentially placing federal funds at risk. Vendors providing transportation, food services, special education services, and safety-related operations may discontinue service due to non-payment. The district is at risk of insufficient cash to operate schools, forcing emergency closures. The continued absence of accurate financial data prevents the State Board of Education and the MDE from determining the full magnitude of the financial crisis. Given the scope and immediacy of these concerns, the State Board of Education intervention is the only available mechanism to stabilize the district and protect the individual welfare of the students. And I'll direct your attention to the slide. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back to the timeline. And as stated by Dr. Malone, just a quick review of the timeline of events. On October 30th, as stated, the district notified MDE of its inability to make November 2025 payroll. At that time, in response to that email, a request for financial statements and last audit report were made by MDE staff. November 2nd through the 4th, the district sent some financial documents for review. November 6th, a Teams meeting that included MDE staff, superintendent of the district, and the district's business manager, along with a consultant hired by the district, took place, where at that time, MDE staff also requested additional documentation. November 10th through 11th, the district submitted some of the documentation, however, it's incomplete. November 12th, MDE submitted a second request for documents that were earlier requested. In addition, requested additional documentation. As of November 13th, the district has failed to provide all requested documents. So, as shared earlier, the initial request and need spoke directly to the district's inability to make the November payroll. Based on limited documentation that we've been able to receive from the district, using the district's check register for their October payroll, we determined that the projected payroll need is $518,191 for November. We were unable at the time to determine all sources of revenue, although requested. The district did not provide sufficient data for us to determine all sources of revenue. However, we have included for your consideration all revenue that is state revenue that we can verify the district will receive for the month of November. Listed on the slide includes their MSFF allocations, Chickasaw session, master teacher payments, buses and buildings, and all federal reimbursement funds due them for the month of November. That total is $406,275, which still leaves a payroll shortfall of $111,916. Based on information requested and information received, I'd like to walk you through the information that we have used to develop as much as we can the financial picture for the district. We've requested vendor invoices to reflect all outstanding invoices, either those entered into the system or those being held, and that were all unpaid. We also requested a list of contracts, including contract workers, any other vendor contracts. To date, that information has not been sufficiently provided. We've not received any vendor invoice information. The contract and contract worker information, based on our review, appears to be incomplete and does not reflect the total award of all contracts. So it has been difficult to determine what their outstanding liabilities are as it relates to contracts that have been awarded. Federal withholding, based on our November 10th meeting with staff, the district manager did indicate at that time that if an emergency assistance loan were to be granted to the district, there is an outstanding $420,000 withholding payment that is due. Some of those funds would be used to cover. Unemployment and workers' compensation, we have not been able to determine from any documentation submitted by the district whether or not those payments have been made. So those could represent an additional liability potentially for the district. Local revenue, specifically at Valorum, there is a discrepancy based on the documents provided by the district. The cash flow report for ad Valorum received to date reflects the district reflects they have received $390,401. However, a request for a report of all revenue sources provided by the district only shows that $277,000 has been received. So there is still a pretty significant discrepancy in what local revenue sources or funds are available to the district for use to cover any outstanding liabilities. General ledger and chart of accounts, purchase order reports, we have not received those, although requested. The claims docket and check register, one of the evaluative procedures that we engaged in was to compare the claims docket to the check register. In doing so, we found a discrepancy of about $195,000. The claims docket that was approved as compared to the check register showed that $195,000 more had been paid according to the check register than had been approved under the claims docket for accounts payable. We also have reason to believe, just based on our cursory review of documents, that many of the fund codes have been applied incorrectly, which has the potential, again, to increase the amount of financial liability, but also to skew the revenue numbers that we would receive from the district. What I'm providing to you here is just a 3-year review of a summary of revenues and expenditures. This is information that we have taken from our FETS system. If you'll notice in FY 22-23 school year, more accurately, 22-23, the revenues were 10.9 and their expenditures were a little bit under that at 10.8. When we move to school year 23-24, we see a pretty precipitous drop of about $1 million, where revenue dips to 9.8 million, while expenditures still remain pretty steady at 10.2. We see the same occurring in FY 24-25 with a $9.6 million revenue with expenditures at 10.9, which actually is an increase over 22-23 and 23-24. Also, in addition to that, not provided to you here, but a review of budgets submitted by the school district in school year 2024, an amended budget was submitted to the Office of School Financial Services that shows a budget with a deficit, a reported deficit of $638,687.36. In school year 2025, there is a certified and approved budget by the local board that shows a deficit of $35,000. We have not yet received the amended budget for the close of 25 yet. We anticipate that perhaps that deficit may increase. In the current school year 2026, or fiscal year 2026, the local board approved a budget with a deficit, a reported deficit of $215,087.12. The final slide here shows, as Dr. Malone stated earlier in her opening remarks, that the district does demonstrate a history of financial insolvency, inasmuch as the district was taken over in February or March of 2010. And at that time, it was necessary to make a loan from the Emergency Assistance Fund of $550,000. As stated, the board has authority under Code Section 37-17-6-12B3. If the State Board of Education determined that a school district is impaired with a serious lack of financial resources, the State Board of Education may place the school district into a district of transformation. If a school district is placed into a district of transformation for financial reasons, the school district shall be required to reimburse the state for any costs incurred by the state on behalf of the school district. I will also direct your attention to 37-17-13 subsection 2. When a school district is abolished under this section, loans from the School District Emergency Assistance Fund may be made by the State Board of Education for the use and benefit of the schools formerly constituting the district, in accordance with the procedures set forth in section 37-17-6, subsection 15, for such loans to the district. The abolition of the school district under this section shall not impair or release the property of that school district from liability for the payment of the loan indebtedness, and it shall be the duty of the appropriate governing authorities to levy taxes on the property of the district so abolished from year to year according to the terms of the indebtedness until same shall be fully paid. I will also draw your attention to the accreditation process standards that, based on the information we have received, the school district shows to be non-compliant with. Accreditation process standard 4, the local school board obtains an annual financial audit of the school district as conducted under the guidelines of the Office of the State Auditor. As stated earlier, the last published audit of the school district was in 2021. Accreditation process standard 5.2, the local school board budgets and expends funds under the public school health insurance plan as required by state law and state board policy. Failure to remit premiums, interest payments, and or late charges in a timely manner may result in withholding of the district's adequate education program funds. Our contention with this process standard is that if the district is unable to make its November 2025 payroll, they will be non-compliant with process standard 5.2. And I'll go back to the process standards 4. There are additional standards under process standard 4, but without a full accreditation or accountability review, we are unable at this time to identify each or if they are in non-compliant with any or all of those process standards under.
So in conclusion, the MDE is requesting that the State Board of Education consider the information that has been presented to you today and request that the board consider placing the district into a district of transformation for financial reasons pursuant to Mississippi Code 37-17-6-12B3. Additionally, if the board determines that the district should be placed into a district of transformation, the MDE is requesting the following actions also be taken. The district be abolished in accordance with state law, an interim superintendent be put in place in the district, and the SBE, the state board, authorize funds to be released from the school district emergency assistance fund to the district. At this time, the MDE staff will address any questions you may have related to the serious concerns regarding the Okolona Separate School District's financial state.
Hey, this is Matt. One question I have, did the loan that they got back in 2010 when they were in conservatorship, did they pay that off?
Yes, sir. That loan has been repaid.
Okay.
And this is Matt
Thank you.
Mayo. Ms. Kim, do we also, everything we talked about that we know they owe is payroll related. What do we know about the other liabilities in the claims docket that's additional? Have we been able to get even a ballpark of what that looks like?
No, sir. At this time, we've not been able to actually get a ballpark of that. And the documents provided by the district show very wide variances. As I stated, the claims docket for October showed that $38,000 of accounts payables were approved for payment. However, the cash flow report we received showed almost $70,000 were paid, had been paid as it relates to accounts payable. Based on discussions with district personnel, the decisions that they have been making have been tied to whether or not they should pay payroll or vendors. We were able to confirm with one vendor in particular that their invoices being held for that particular vendor that have been unpaid since July. So that is a part of the work that will be subsequent to any action taken by the board today would be for our staff to be able to go in and really to perform a forensic accounting review of the district's finances, particularly since they have been without an audit now for 3 years.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, if
This
there's
is-
other questions, go ahead. Go ahead.
No,
Glenn.
Does
I
anyone
just-
else have any questions?
Yeah, I do.
Glenn
This
Hayes.
is Mary Werner.
Go ahead, Mary.
I think I'm off. Well, I'm just kind of,
You are.
I'm concerned. On page 9, we were talking about $195 difference on who's been monitoring this? Okay,
That's
first of all, this is federal withholding, if I'm not mistaken. Was that for $195,000 that has not been paid?
The federal withholding actually, based on district, the district business manager, that amount actually is $420,000.
Oh, that's worse.
That
Okay,
is
I
due.
thought, okay.
That's
How
another
did it get this
195.
bad?
Excuse me, ma'am. How did it get to?
I'm just trying to figure out, yes. I mean, it was like, it hasn't had an audit for 3 years?
No, ma'am.
And why?
Well,
I
Thank
think
you,
the
that was my
question
next
is,
if I
question.
can-
Thank you,
coming.
Ron.
if I can speak, and Paula, please, feel at liberty to correct this. Districts were granted, at the request of the state auditor, additional 2 years, which equated to 4 years before it was considered a accreditation violation on audits. And that has not been back down, if you will, to the original 2-year two-year standard. I'm sorry if I can come up with the right word. I'm sorry. Excuse me for that. So that's why you see this issue, and that's a conversation for another day. But And Ms. Mary, to answer your question, that would be, that's how I would answer it.
Okay. I also have one of the, this is kind of a small little drop in the ocean, but what was the consultant hired for? And how much did they pay the consultant?
Are you
Yeah.
referring to an MDE consultant or?
Well, no, I don't know. One of the things it was saying was that they had a consultant.
Yes,
And
they,
I was. Go ahead. I know it's difficult with the wait time, but I'm just concerned. Number one, what was he hired for? First of all, and
Ms.
then
Mary, I
what
would
did he
tell
get
you there's
paid?
several. Yeah, I'll say there's several consultants I'm sure that were hired. And Ms. Kim, that's what she was referring to earlier. Ms. Wiggins, I'm sorry. That's what she was referring to earlier is we can't get a clear picture. And there's no way we would know what they were hired for at this point in time until that forensic investigation into the accounting of what's taking place. We would assume that it was educational support, academic support, but there's no way really for us to know that. Ms. Wiggins, am I correct there?
Yes, they do, however, there was, however, on the call, a contractor hired to provide support to the district business manager. However, in reviewing the really kind of very limited amount of contract information from the district, we don't see that contractor included in the documentation provided, so we have no way to determine the scope of work for that consultant, the total award of that contract, how much has been paid to date, which again goes to the heart of just the limited documentation provided.
Well, we certainly have no accountability from him. But let me just say this: the school, the district itself, has been doing fabulously well, except for middle school, over the course of the years. So I will, in their credit, I will give them the educator part of the district has done quite well. The leadership has failed miserably. Okay, enough. I'll get off my soapbox and we can move on.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions or before we call this for a vote?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if there are not any other questions, I would, and again, it's Matt Mayo, I move that the board consider making a closed determination of the need to go into executive session.
This is Pruitt in Biloxi. I second that. I do have some questions, but we'll wait till executive session.
1 second. Do we need to make a motion about the takeover openly or in executive session?
Let's go into closed session first.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed?
Okay, give me a minute to clear this room and to pause the squaring, okay?
Okay.
Excuse me, this is Mike Pruitt. I strongly regret, I'm about to have to drop off. I regret it more than anyone else does, I assure you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Understood.
The board has unanimously voted to go into executive session for discussion and or deliberations with respect to investigative proceedings regarding allegations of misconduct or violations of law in accordance with Mississippi Code annotated section 254174D, specifically regarding a determination of whether the Okolona School District is impaired by a lack of serious financial resources, which warrants placement into a district of transformation. Now, give them 1 minute to pause. Okay, we're live.
Okay. The board has exited executive session, and the following has taken action with regard to the Oklahoma separate school district and approved a resolution which I will now read. Whereas pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated 37-7-16-12B3, the State Board of Education met in a special called meeting on November 14, 2025, to determine whether the Oklahoma separate school district is impaired with a serious lack of financial resources, which warrants their placement into a district of transformation. Whereas the Mississippi Department of Education's Offices of Accreditation and School Financial Services presented certain information to the State Board of Education regarding the Oklahoma separate school district impairments related to serious concern regarding financial resources, including ongoing insolvency, failure to make payroll, a pattern of fiscal mismanagement resulting in the absence of sufficient funds to maintain minimum operations and support interventions, failure to maintain adequate internal controls, and the failure to comply with process standards 4 and 5. Now, therefore, the State Board of Education finds the following. The board finds that there is sufficient cause to find that the Oklahoma separate school district is impaired with a serious lack of financial resources based on ongoing insolvency, failure to make payroll, a pattern of fiscal mismanagement resulting in the absence of sufficient funds to maintain minimum operations and support interventions, failure to maintain adequate internal controls, and the failure to comply with process standards 4 and 5, which, without intervention by the State Board of Education, could result in the continuation of an inadequate and unstable educational environment, thereby denying the students of this district the opportunity to learn, to excel, and to obtain a free and appropriate public education. The board further finds Mississippi Code annotated 37-17-6-12C7 authorizes the State Board of Education to take such action as prescribed in Mississippi Code annotated 37-17-13, where the State Board of Education places a school district into a district of transformation under Mississippi Code annotated 37-17-6-12B, that Mississippi Code annotated 37-17-13 provides the State Board of Education shall abolish a school district and its assisting board and superintendent, and that Mississippi Code annotated 37-17-13 provides that at such time as the impairments have been substantially corrected, the State Board of Education shall reconstitute, reorganize, or change and alter the boundaries of the previously existing district, and in appropriate cases shall notify the appropriate governing authority of its actions and request them to provide for the election or appointment of school board members in the manner provided by law. Be it resolved that, based on the State Board of Education's determination that the Oklahoma separate school district is impaired with a serious lack of financial resources, which warrants their placement into a district of transformation, and which, without intervention from the State Board of Education, could result in the continuation of the inadequate and unstable educational environment, the State Board of Education does hereby place this district into a district of transformation pursuant to 37-17-6-12B. Further, be it resolved that, based upon the State Board of Education placement of the Oklahoma separate school district into a district of transformation, based on the State Board of Education's determination that the school district is impaired with a serious lack of financial resources, the State Board of Education does hereby abolish the Oklahoma separate school district pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated 37-17-13, effective on this date. Further, be it resolved that pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated 37-17-13, the State Board of Education will exercise all powers which were held by the previously existing school board and the previously existing superintendent. In addition, the other action that the board took in executive session was to appoint Mr. John Farrell as the temporary interim superintendent for the Oklahoma separate school district, as other duties assigned until the board can appoint a permanent interim superintendent. It also approved up to $3 million from the school district emergency assistant fund to be available on loan to the Okolona separate school district as needed. All right, hang on a second. Let me get back to. So now that we're out, we've covered everything I think on our agenda. I believe our next step is, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So,
Mr.
Second.
McGehee, Ms. Werner, all in favor, say aye.
aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Look, thank you, everybody, MDE staff, as well as board members for jumping on this very quickly and carving out a little over an hour on your Friday. There'll be more we can discuss about this at our next board meeting. So thank you.
Thank
y'all.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.